The little girl, suddenly startled, realizing the intruder. In a fit of anger, she shouted for Sean-gun. The sudden cry made the two of them jump. Just then, hearing the call, Sean-gun appeared right behind the little girl. Yum-Yeol frowned, questioning, "What is the meaning of this?" Jun-Ji calmly replied, "I kept my promise." Sean-gun roared in outrage. "So you dared to deceive me? Didn't you say you would destroy the intruder?" He retorted, "I never said when I would destroy them. I only said I would save you and this village." He seriously explained, "This one is no longer a threat." Hearing this, Fenrir widened his eyes, staring intently at his master. Then, the boy unexpectedly jumped from his arms, landing on the ground. The boy stared at the opposite side, his icy gaze causing Sean-gun and Yum-Yeol to cautiously back away. Seeing this, Fenrir looked up at Jun-Ji, as if receiving a signal. The boy bowed deeply, leaving her wide-eyed with astonishment. Junying smiled gently, patted the boy's head, and said, "See?" The small village settled back into its usual tranquility. Feria called out his name, Junying. Hearing her mispronounce his name, he gently corrected her. "It's not Junying, it's Junying." The little boy tried to imitate him, but still couldn't pronounce it correctly. Junying thought to himself with a sigh, "I see. She can't speak clearly yet." Inkang and Gongju approached them, calling out, "Lee Junying." Seeing them approach, the little boy growled fiercely. Feria quickly explained, "Fenrir, we're not enemies." Suddenly, the boy noticed something beside him. Then he unexpectedly grabbed Gongju, exclaiming, "Ooh!" And Kang called out worriedly, "Hey, don't." Junying smiled reassuringly at her. "It's okay. They're just playing." She still looked uneasy, retorting, "I don't think so." The system suddenly announced, "The prince on the white horse is crying." A triumphant laughter echoed through the revelation sky. On a beautiful day, at the tranquil lake behind the mountain, Yun-Yeol and Jun-Ji stood silently by the shore. The curious little girl spoke up. "Mister, why did you call me here?" The young man explained, "I promised Sean-Jian that I would punish the one who wronged him and help him recover." His next words greatly surprised the little girl. "And if I succeed, I will take you with me." Yun-Yeol listened silently, gazing at the young man without a word. Jun-Ji continued, his tone calm, "Don't be hasty, it's not time yet. I will return for you after I finish my business in China, so be prepared." Finishing his words, the young man summoned his sword. Without hesitation, he swung the blade down towards the still surface of the lake. His eyes fixed on the now rippling water. He coldly instructed, "Protect it until I return. And if you can perform one of the rituals on it, all the better." Yun-Yeol asked in confusion, "What ritual?" The blade slowly slid into its sheath. The boy resumed his important task. "I need to save this for someone special." Hearing this, the little girl frowned in confusion, saying nothing. At the village, the residents gathered, filling the entire courtyard. For figures stood before the village gate, bowing their farewells. Father Noel spoke on behalf of the group, his voice filled with remorse. "We sincerely apologize for our past mistakes. In the past, all outsiders who came here had wicked intentions, wanting to rob us." Jun Jiang smiled, replying with understanding, "I understand." Inchang also offered comfort. "It's all right." Yun-Yeol stepped forward, asking innocently, "Are you leaving already, mister?" He replied, "Yes, we don't have much time left. We'll be back for you soon." Confused, the little girl asked, "What do you mean?" Jun Jiang thought to himself, "It seems she doesn't remember yesterday. Are the medicine side effects getting worse?" Thinking that, he didn't explain further, only suggesting, "Maybe ask Sanjin." Inchang stepped forward, gently reminding, "We should depart now." Jun Jiang offered a friendly smile and a farewell. "Take care, Sean-gun." Flickering flames dimly lit a hidden corner within the dark tunnel. A pair of bright green eyes suddenly appeared from the dense darkness, and a voice urged, "Hurry." The surrounding landscape grew increasingly desolate and bleak. Heavy snow fell, blanketing the vast forest in white. The group continued their arduous journey forward. Suddenly, Inchang stopped. Jun Jiang looked over, his eyes filled with questions. She lowered her head, her face saddened, and bid farewell to everyone. "I feel so guilty." Hearing this, he comforted her. "We'll come back." Inchang exclaimed in disbelief, "Really?" Jun Jiang sighed inwardly. "She truly has a kind heart." He continued, "After finishing our work in China, when we return, we'll visit Cho-Di village." Inchang asked, "But aren't you going to personally handle the problem?" "Donghua got it yourself." Master Lee Jungyo, "If that's the case, wouldn't it be easier to use a portal or a plane to get back? Wouldn't that be more convenient?" He seemed confused and just looked at me. She then explained further, "It wasn't just recently, But hasn't he already accomplished so many extraordinary things? Pausing for a moment, she smiled and continued. He defeated Hercules and even the god Pharia. He went to China. Wasn't it to stop the Convergence Gate incident? He responded insecurely, I can't do it. Intag looked surprised by his answer. Well, Junji, try to assess your own abilities. I can't stop the Convergence Gate alone. No one in this world has the ability to stop the Convergence Gate phenomenon happening in China. Intag suddenly understood. Ah, I see. Intag asked, so we're going straight to the Management Bureau then? I marveled to myself. Mount Peak 2 is truly magnificent, but it's so cold. The young man smiled gently and explained. I said we were going up the mountain to find a mount, didn't I? Injang looked puzzled, but all the deer have run away. The young man didn't answer her, instead calling out loudly. Fenrir, hearing the familiar call, a young boy replied, yes. June ordered, quickly, take us there. The young boy, Hyena, looked back in confusion, seemingly waiting for Fenrir to return. The young man said to the girl, get on. The group shot forward like the wind. They sped through the dense forest at a dizzying pace. The two on Fenrir's back had to hold on tight to avoid being swept away by the wind. The surrounding scenery became clearer, no longer blurring past as before. Fenrir stopped at the peak of a towering mountain, looking down below where chaotic sound were rising. At the foot of the mountain, a horde of ferocious orc monsters and wild buffalo were locked in a fierce battle. A bloody melee was raging at the base of the mountain. He told Inchong that the blockheads were in a fierce battle. Jun Jiang suddenly realized, exclaiming, why did we stop here? With that thought, he summoned Fenrir. The giant wolf instantly materialized in its ferocious Vandergander form. Jun Jiang commanded in a deep voice, rip them apart. As soon as he finished speaking, Fenrir charged down the mountain, fiercely attacking the enemy. The battle at the foot of the mountain became even more brutal and bloody. Inchong gave a nervous laugh as he witnessed the carnage below. Incredible, Jun Jiang said. It must have been starving for quite a while waiting for Godong. Inchong, there's something I want to teach you. Inchong quickly replied, yes, sir. Hearing this, she seriously wondered, what is it? Thinking back to the times Jun Jiang fought monsters, she silently speculated. That unusual strength and speed of development. I've always wondered how he did it. However, the image of Jun Jiang overflowing with unimaginable power surfaced in her mind. She continued to ponder, lost in thought, telling herself she shouldn't pry any further, because she believed that when the time was right, he would surely tell her. Jun Jiang clenched his fist, his voice filled with determination. I will guide you in the flow of mana. With this power, you can become a true hunter yourself without relying on anyone. In Chang's eyes widened in astonishment at his words, thinking to herself, a self-trained hunter without the support of any organization, is that even possible? Could this be the secret behind Li Jun Jiang's extraordinary power? Inchong clenched her fists, her mind still racing with thoughts. If so, I could become even stronger too. Jun Jiang continued to explain to Dong Inchong. You have already absorbed a part of the mana flow. As he spoke, he conjured a small orb of energy, levitating it in his hand. See? She concentrated, recalling the moment, then replied. It looked like Manachon Ferging. Hearing that, an indescribable joy welled up inside him. As expected, she possessed an innate potential. Inchong continued the story. If I concentrate deeply, I can see the flow of mana. Is that why you always spend time meditating? Li Yunkyung spoke up. Let me explain it to her. To be precise, what we're seeing and feeling is the flow of mana. Imagine controlling it like she's absorbing and filling that energy into her body. Hearing this, Inchong's face was filled with confusion. Seeing that, Jun Jiang reassured her. It's okay. You don't have to understand everything right now. This isn't something you can learn with logic or common knowledge. Then, he offered a solution. I'll use a forced method, engraving the mana flow into your body. But I'm warning you, it'll be very painful, painfully so. Inchong observed the situation, thinking to herself with a determined look. I want to become stronger. She pursed her lips, her thoughts filled with determination. I can't keep being a burden to you. As night deepened, the snow fell thicker. Jun Jiang sat by the crackling fire, keeping watch over the sleeping Inchong and Gongyu. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual. Inchong was shivering in her sleeping bag. her body trembling violently. Jun Jiayong recalled transferring energy to her and thought to himself, she's truly extraordinary. She had endured the excruciating pain without a single complaint or groan. The boy stood silently, gazing down into the deep abyss. His eyes were fixed on something below. Jun Jiayong stepped closer, curiously asking, "What are you looking at, Finra?" At the foot of the mountain was a gigantic monster, resembling a prehistoric lizard. He gasped, "That's an earth dragon." Finra licked his lips, his eyes glued to the monster. Seeing the boy's reaction, Jun Jiayong asked, "Do you want to hunt it?" The boy turned back and replied, "I want the notebook." Suddenly, the words, "Along," Feria's favorite dish, appeared. Armed with this information, the boy pondered. Back at Baked Mountain, I probably didn't witness its true power. Moreover, Feria is currently subdued, so it's definitely weaker than before. I wonder, can I hunt this along? Immediately after, he furrowed his brow, dismissing his own thoughts. No, this needs to be done. I have to test Feria's current strength. Having made up his mind, he told Feria, "Feria, are you ready? Let's go hunt along." Feria bravely charged towards the target with incredible force. The boy took a running start and quickly followed. A powerful surge of energy erupted around Feria, transforming it back to its original form. The Along also opened its mouth wide, gathering magical power, preparing to meet the challenge. An intense blue energy beam shot out from its mouth, firing straight ahead. Feria quickly raised its head, gathering energy to counterattack. It then unleashed a thunderous bolt of lightning, carrying terrifying power, aimed directly at its opponent. The unfortunate lesser dragon roared in agony within the blinding light. From afar, the aftermath of that terrifying attack could still be seen. Jun Ji watched as Feria approached the motionless lesser dragon. He wondered, is he truly weakened? Such a powerful lesser dragon, brought down so easily. He then shifted his gaze, his expression turning serious. My preparations are complete. The entire mountain range was submerged in a sea of white snow. The haunting image of unfortunate people frozen in the bitter cold appeared. Amidst the tragic scene, two figures stood on a ferry dock, looking down at the desolate ruins below. In Chong hesitantly asked, "Li Junji, sir?" She choked back tears, her eyes welling up. Is that the catastrophe you spoke of? Could the whole world become like this?" Yoongi solemnly replied, "Yes, it's ludicrous to even compare them, but it will be less devastating than this, and more lives will be saved." With that said, the boy gazed into the distance. Out there, countless bounty hunters and aspiring heroes lurked, along with powerful organizations like Warriors of Asgard. Because to survive in this cruel world, they were willing to risk everything, even trampling on others. "I'll do my best too. Don't worry too much." Incheon gently wiped away the tear rolling down her cheek. She gave a bright smile, seemingly relieved after hearing those reassuring words. "I'll try my best too." Jun Ji continued, his voice steady. "The river is frozen solid. We can cross it. Once we cross this frozen river, we'll reach our destination." Curious, the girl asked, "Where is that?" The boy replied, "Guangdong. There are people I need to find there." A worried expression appeared on Incheon's face. "But in this harsh weather, could anyone still be alive?" Jun Ji affirmed resolutely, his voice filled with conviction. "They are. I'm sure of it." The boy frowned, lost in thought about the gem that was. "The black stone blocks the flow of magic, but I can feel the power of this gemstone growing stronger." Jun Ji clenched his fist, lost in thought. "Is this the limit of my power when sealing it this way?" With that thought, Jun Ji quickly crossed the river, urgency in his heart. "I have to find them quickly." Crossing the towering mountain range, they finally arrived. The two jumped off Fenrir's back. "From now on," Mu Jin-chong explained, "we can't ride Fenrir anymore. It will attract unwanted attention." Mu Jin-chong added with a smile, "The weather seems a bit warmer, and there don't seem to be any monsters around here either." Jun Ji also felt relieved. "That means we're going in the right direction," the young man affirmed. Fenrir suddenly turned towards the front. This action immediately put the two on alert. They looked in the direction Fenrir was pointing, suddenly spotted a faint figure in the mist. In Hyong gasped in surprise. "Whoa, there's someone here." Jun Jung's face hardened. He ordered them to draw their weapons, ready for a fight. The bewildered girl asked, "What's going on?" Caution flickered in Jun Jung's eyes. From this distance, with the naked eye, it should have been impossible to see anyone. Yet, the moment he drew his weapon, The true nature of the figure before them was revealed. A giant with skin as red as blood, stark against the white snow. The fight was over quickly. In Hyong stood nearby, sword still in hand. Her hand stained crimson with the giant's blood. She muttered in confusion, "That's strange. It had the form of a human." She frowned, observing, but it behaved like a ravenous wild beast. Jung speculated. Perhaps it was an outcast. He continued, "Whether ravaged by disease or simply weakened, the exiled are doomed to die alone. This giant likely met the same grim fate. Compared to his brethren, he was truly weak." Observing the bodies of the two giants lying motionless on the pristine snow, Inchon couldn't help but exclaim in awe, "That's a terrifying thought." Suddenly, a strange sound in the distance made her jump. Ahead, a large mass of snow erupted, creating a thick fog. Jung was also focused on the situation. "There's more than one," Inchon complained wearily. "I don't even have time to catch my breath." Giants wielding sharp axes, riding on the back of a colossal beast, suddenly appeared before the group. Inchon was stunned. He's riding a frost dragon. His appearance was beyond imagination. The giant frowned, staring at the group. "Who are you? Why do you dare hunt my kin?" Suddenly, he noticed something among the small figures that terrified him. A dreadful thought crept into his mind. "You truly are a unique specimen." Meanwhile, Jun Jiang remained completely silent. Fan Ria was drooling with ravenous hunger. He was seriously contemplating devouring the Ariel. In this precarious situation, what could be done? Suddenly, a net fell from the sky. Inchong was startled. A net? She dropped to her knees, summoning her weapon and quickly calculating how to cut through the net. Just then, Jun Jiang suddenly appeared and grabbed her shoulder. "I don't sense any hostility from this net." The giant lifted the net, trapping them both in the air. He looked sternly at the group inside and spoke. "You must come with me." The group of giants, riding their ryongs, sped through the snow-covered forest. Some of those in the front glanced back, keeping a watchful eye on the cage holding the two captives. Sachi approached them, his voice probing. "Are you inhabitants of this land? Hey, give him an answer." "No, we come from somewhere else." He replied, then explained, "I see. Don't worry. You're being detained, simply because you're with someone special." Jun Jiang leaned against the bars, lost in thought. They're different from the giants in the legends. Not like the ferocious monsters often described. Actually, they seem quite intelligent. Then he asked, "Are we going to Utica?" Sachi smiled in response. "It's interesting that you know of our city." He confirmed, "You're right. We are on our way there. But don't worry. We don't intend to harm you." Then he began to introduce himself. "I am Sachi. Magic blazes, a symbol of unparalleled power. I am the captain of the mighty Frost Giant Legion. You should reciprocate." As they advanced, they encountered a few more NAS and swiftly eliminated them. Each one fell, finished off with a single blow. They collapsed under Sachi's chilling axe, dripping with deadly intent. Jungyo silently observed everything unfold. Sachi suddenly glanced back, then turned decisively, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Her unexpected action stunned Jungyo, leaving him speechless. Sachi approached the cage, her voice reassuring. "We just want to ask you a few questions, and when you want, you're free to leave." Jungyo frowned, speculating. It seems like she's deliberately hiding something. However, there are still survivors in the giant city. Just as I suspected. Sachi raised a hand to her forehead, solemnly declaring, "I swear on my honor, your life will be spared, and you will have complete freedom to act as you wish. This oath I, Sachi, vow to uphold." Hearing this, the young man clenched his fists, a faint smile playing on his lips. "Seems getting to where I need to be will be easier than anticipated. Besides, he's there too." And Trang, who was focused on observing the situation outside, suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Sachi spoke, her voice filled with pride. "This is our stronghold." In the distance, a magnificent castle stood majestically amidst the vast, white Utgat snow forest. In a matter of moments, the entire group approached the ancient and imposing fortress. The castle gates swung open, as if welcoming them back from a long journey. Someone inside the castle, spotting Sachi, cried out, "Sachi has returned." The person beside them was equally overjoyed. "It's been so long since she's been back." Jun and Zhang silently observed their surroundings. From the young man, cloaked like a mysterious sorcerer, to the burly hunter with bulging muscles, and even the lady in the flowing gown, and wiped his sweat, joking, "It's like we've been thrown back into the Middle Ages." Don't tell me we've time traveled, or something crazy like that. She suddenly glanced to her right, noticing something unusual. A giant man wondered aloud. Are those not human? But why are they locked in cages? Another man, equally curious, asked, did they commit some kind of crime? Feria reacted violently to the scene before her, causing panic among many in the city. Ah, it's the special one. Did Sachi capture that special one? It's Van Argant. Sachi immediately denied it. That's not. We're just here to see the leader. Out of our way. Yunga patted Feria's head, comforting her. It's all right, calm down. The boy suddenly turned in another direction. Yunga looked at Theo, his eyes sharp and cold, thinking enemy. In the midst of a desolate wasteland, a magnificent castle stood, enveloped by a powerful magical barrier, radiating an aura of dark and ominous energy. Sachi approached two giant guards stationed at the gate and announced in a booming voice, I am Sachi, open the gate. The massive gates slowly creaked open. Sachi, carrying an iron cage, confidently strode into the palace. Seated upon the imposing throne was Loki, the leader of the giants. He glared at Sachi with icy eyes and demanded, you dare return here with the Sao intruder? June, imprisoned within the iron cage, silently observed the scene. He is the enemy Feria spoke of, the one from Sao. Loki exclaimed, so he's the one who gravely wounded Feria before he set foot on the sacred mountain of Baigru. Sachi knelt on one knee and respectfully reported, my lord, I have brought Vanapagan and his companions to you, and those who traveled with him. Seshi glanced hesitantly at Yunga. It seems this Vanapagan remains fiercely loyal to its master. Sachi's words startled Loki, his face darkened. Suspicion was evident in his eyes. You dare say that Van Argand has been subdued by them? Sachi respectfully replied, yes, commander. Magical power suddenly erupted. Loki, the warrior, spun around, ordering the intruders, stay here and go back. Hearing this, Sachi quickly spoke up, Commander, I swore an oath to them, on my honor as a warrior. Therefore, I implore you to spare their lives, and please help them return to where they belong. Sachi's words caused a dangerous glint to appear in the commander's eyes. Sachi bowed his head low, pleading, Commander, please honor a warrior's oath. Darkness enveloped everything. Flickering lights were lit one by one. A hand yanked on iron bar. Then a voice said, it won't open, but if I wanted to, I could open it. June hastily intervened. You'll have to face the entire giant clan. No matter what happens, we're still in our territory. Injang doesn't seem to think so. Aren't we in danger? No matter how you look at it. That king doesn't seem like he's going to treat us kindly. Her head tilted to the side, her gaze averted, especially the way he looked at Feria. The boy and Gongju are warming themselves by the fire. I can sense the worry radiating off of him. What do you think we should do now? Jun Ji is lying on the bed as if nothing happened. Don't worry, he says. If we want, we can leave here right now. This isn't the time to rest, is it? Get some rest. As if anticipating what you were going to say, it looks like we're going to be here for a while. The entire city was engulfed in a sea of flames. Towering buildings crumbled, fire spreading everywhere. Brutal giants rummaged through the wreckage. Jun Ji stood by the window, solemnly watching the horrific scene. The Demon King's diary recounts that the Great War between the giants was the most brutal and bloody conflict in history. Therefore, I truly can't comprehend this. The young man was lost in thought, his face filled with doubt. I'm certain that the king of old possessed unmatched power, but the combat ability of each individual giant was inferior to that of humans. So how could they have possibly cornered and forced humanity to the brink of extinction? Suddenly, a small sound echoed from the closed door, startling him. Turning his head, he saw Gun enter. I've come to serve tea. A cup of tea, a stunning shade of jade green, was poured. The girl asked, her voice tinged with worry. Is this enough? Jungyo, sitting at the table, heard her and asked, do you always treat those who come here like this? What made her act this way? He took the opportunity to ask directly. Why would she treat us like that? But the girl only looked apprehensive, hesitant to answer. Noticing this, Jong-ai reassured her. It's okay. No one is watching us. His words startled the girl. What? In the distance, an ordinary-looking hourglass stood silently. No one had ever noticed it before. Zhang-ai smiled to himself. It was, in fact, a magical item used to monitor the room. He wouldn't have been able to detect it on his own, but thanks to Merlin's necklace, he had uncovered its secret. Zhang-ai spoke, kneeling down before the girl. Your name is Saijin, isn't it? You can speak freely here. But you must keep it a secret when you leave, okay? Then he asked, "How long have you been here?" Saijin replied, "About a year." Most people say they've been here for about a year and a half. Zhang pondered silently, drawing his own conclusions. This suggests it's been about a year and a half since Gap was discovered and interrogated. I understand. Why are we being treated so specially? The little girl raised her tiny fist and said, "Because you're strong. Giants always love strength. And that man is even more special." Last time Get was attacked, the NAS launched an attack. But that kid transformed into a terrifying monster and slaughtered many giants. The protagonist, being discussed, was huddled, curled up on the sofa. Fenrir, hearing his name mentioned, glanced over. After that, the king fought that monster. He fought side by side with the other giant warriors and achieved victory. However, that monster escaped. June crossed his arms, lost in thought, pondering for some reason. He had a conflict with the giant clan, which is the reason why Faria had to seek out Big's Mountain. Afterwards, he made Saigon an offer. "Can you help me with something? I'll give you lots of candy." The little girl replied, her voice firm, "I don't need any." Saigon hesitantly stated her condition. "But if you have any scrap metal, please give it to me. If I sell the scrap metal, I could buy medicine for my mother." Jun Jiang immediately agreed. "All right. In return, can you find someone who can help me? I heard his name is One Hashigan." Hearing that, Saigon looked surprised. "Huh? You mean the Hu Tour?" The boy replied with a smile. "Yeah, that's right." Snow continued to fall heavily on the magnificent palace. Several days had passed since arriving in Utgard. During that time, Li Junjiang's group seemed to have done nothing. Junjiang and a companion were leisurely strolling in the garden. At mealtimes, food is brought directly to our rooms. Occasionally, we're allowed to stroll around a magnificent castle grounds. That's it. Behind them, In Chong grumbled, "What kind of ridiculous joke is this? If they don't need us, then why not just let us go?" Jun Jiang turned back, flashing an optimistic smile. "But thanks to this, at least, we have some time to train ourselves." In Chong was still frustrated. "Yeah, but being cooped up like this is driving me crazy," he replied with a mischievous glint. "Don't worry, I guarantee you won't be bored." His words surprised In Chong. How could that be?" Jun Jiang summoned his weapon. "I think it's time to unleash our true power." His words sparked excitement in her. In Chong drew her sword. "So, we can finally level this place." Jun Ji observed the scene with a slightly disappointed expression. Someone as righteous as Dong In Chong seemed almost excited at the prospect of destroying everything. He asked curiously, "You don't seem to like this place very much." In Chong replied immediately, "Of course not. We haven't encountered a single human, except for those giants. Besides, I don't like the guy who calls himself king here. He gives off a strange aura. Something shady is definitely going on." A powerful magic emanated from Junji, enveloping him. "Right, to find out what's happening. Shouldn't we show off our power?" Junji said in a serious tone. "Let's fight." The words took In Chong by surprise. Without explaining, he countered with a question. "You've never fought me before, have you?" She hesitated, uncertain. "Yes, but—" Junjung feigned a sigh, goading her. "How disappointing. You have no—" Completely lacking confidence, CEO In Chong pursed her lips, her face a mask of frustration. Magical energy surged, enveloping her. "You'll pay dearly for this. Even if I can't win, you won't defeat me easily." With those words, she shot towards him, leaving only a faint magical afterimage. But Jun Jiang swiftly dodged the sharp blade. Then, with a confident look, he made his demand. "If I win, you have to agree to one request of mine." His lightning-fast attack sliced through the air, but only struck empty space. In Chong had leaped high, launching an aerial attack. Her fighting spirit burned fiercely. "I was hoping you'd say that." From the outside, the greenhouse remained as still as a calm lake. But in the next moment, a devastating magical explosion erupted, sending shards of glass flying. Somewhere in a snow-covered forest, Sachi laughed boisterously, filled with glee. The entire castle has been leveled. The conservatory, their pride and joy, is now nothing but a desolate ruin." Sachi chuckled with satisfaction, a smug grin plastered across his face. Meanwhile, the two perpetrators of this chaos silently observed from afar. When he heard that, the men he sent had destroyed nearly half of the castle's magnificent gardens, Sachi felt a surge of excitement. "It's a shame I didn't get to see the leader's face then," he thought regretfully. but nonetheless, it's fortunate that I brought them here. He recalled the disagreements between himself and Loki. Ever since the leader allied with the other tribes, he had completely changed. Loki was now consumed by the darkness of power. He even demanded that his title be changed from leader to king. And immediately after discovering the iron mine, he ordered all warriors to join the army. His eyes, once clear, now held a dark and ominous glint. But no one knew that their leader was secretly plotting to ignite a new war. Pride and honor. Sachi had fought for these noble ideals, but now he realized it was difficult to understand the leader's ambition. He stood at a distance, gazing at the magnificent castle, lost in thought. I pray you choose your enemies wisely, leader. He murmured softly. A subordinate rushed in, breathlessly reporting to Captain Sachi. Those bastards. He immediately snapped back into battle-ready mode. The scene shifted to another room within the castle. Kang was sitting across from a man of gigantic stature. He let out a weary sigh. Then Saron spoke. Desecrating the castle gardens is a grave offense, but we were also at fault for not properly understanding your customs. Trang bowed her head sincerely and said, I apologize. Then she explained, I'm not sure how much you know about my people, but we have a traditional custom of moving swiftly, climbing nimbly through the forest to train our bodies. Hearing this, Sharon expressed deep understanding. I understand, he said, listening intently to Trang's explanation. However, I'm still terribly sorry for causing damage to the castle's beautiful garden. Her attitude was utterly sincere. Therefore, I would like to compensate you for the damages. Please, tell me what you desire. Sharon stroked his chin, appearing lost in thought. Compensation? Then tell me about your people. He added, this wasn't just a simple accident. There's much we don't know. Therefore, we need more information. Trang immediately agreed. Of course. Back to her earlier battle with Jun Jiang. He unleashed his full strength, launching a powerful series of attacks against the girl. Kang was pushed back by the sheer force of his blows. Struggling to defend herself, she thought with difficulty. I can't anticipate his attacks. I have to be faster, more precise. She suddenly lowered her stance, preparing to swing her sword. A surge of magical energy from both of them collided violently, causing an earth-shattering explosion, sending dust and debris flying. As expected, Dong Kang is truly a formidable opponent. At that moment, he spotted an opening as Kang lowered her stance to gather magical energy. On the other side of the battlefield, Kang also saw her golden opportunity. She sprung from her position, charging forward with lightning speed and unleashing a swift, sharp slash with her blade. Is Fai momentum. Unexpectedly struck only a fleeting afterimage. Jun Jiayang had appeared directly behind her, the sharp tip of his spear aimed at the back of Chang's neck. Kang admitted, I lost. Jun Jiayang withdrew his magical energy and his spear. What a productive training session. Jun Jung wanted to be sure, so he asked again, you'll still keep your promise? Chang bluntly replied, fine, what do you want? Hearing that, Jun Jung immediately made his request. Gather 10 pieces of information. While pretending to cooperate with the giants, Chang listened intently. Moments later, the guard soldiers arrived at the scene. What's going on here? The castle garden. They were utterly astonished by the sight before them. Jun Jung and another person had just gone through a fierce battle, leaving him covered in wounds. A giant exclaimed in a panic, get a doctor, quickly. At that moment, the doctor was pondering by Jun Jung's bedside, murmuring, It seemed like the doctor wasn't very impressed. His wounds aren't that serious. What a wasted trip. Hearing that, Jun Jung thought to himself, although the giants might be felled by these wounds, there's certainly nothing to him. Then, he pleaded, please heal me. The healer reached out towards Jun Jiao's wounds and began to channel healing magic. A brilliant magical light enveloped him, the deep wounds slowly closing. Every trace of blood quickly vanished without a trace. Jun Jiao sat up, carefully examining his body. He hadn't just stopped the bleeding, but had miraculously healed his wounds. The boy expressed his gratitude. Hua Tuo stroked his beard and replied with a smile, you're welcome. Jun Jiao formally greeted him. It's an honor to meet you, Master Hua. Hearing this, the famous physician was utterly astonished. He pushed up his glasses, his sharp eyes questioning. Do you know me? Jun Jiao quickly denied it. No, I don't. Hua Tuo pondered for a moment, then said, then you must have heard of me from somewhere. Perhaps you've heard of the divine healer? Junji-o continued to shake his head. That's not it either. But what if we get to know each other right now? He suggested. The sudden proposal flustered Hua. Tua, he stammered. What a naive boy. Shaking his head in dismay, he turned to leave. But Jun-jung quickly stopped him. My treatment isn't finished yet, the boy exclaimed, his voice firm. Are you going to abandon a patient mid-treatment? Like this? Hua turned back, looking at Jun-jung with a scrutinizing gaze. There isn't a single injury on you. Jun-jung quickly held out his hand, explaining. This isn't an external injury. You haven't even checked my pulse. How can you jump to such a conclusion? Hua was silent for a moment, then sighed. My apologies. He then took Jun-jung's pulse, his expression serious and probing. After a while, he released his hand and said, even after a thorough examination, I can't find any unusual symptoms. I must go now. The door slammed shut with a thud. Junji-o was still deep in thought. I can definitely sense magical energy emanating from him. This proves he's a hunter. But it seems like he hasn't awakened his special ability yet. The boy frowned, his face full of suspicion. He doesn't seem to have noticed anything. After checking my pulse. Impossible. This is absurd. I'm sure he's Hua reincarnated. But someone known as Hua, how can he be only at this level? Junji-o suddenly recalled the records in Hua's memoirs, one of the last remaining hunters in China, who had healed countless heroes, even the Demon King. He thought about the records of that era, when the Demon King created the magical flow across the land of the giants. From the very beginning of the book, it was recorded that he faced a reverse flow of magic, which had side effects similar to the Blood Dragon Stone. Ijungyo was lost in a heavy-hearted memory. However, the Demon King overcame that adversity, thanks to the help of Hua. In the ancient book, it is written, he possesses exceptional talent, worthy of being called a divine healer. Jungyo wondered, could it be I've come too early? Has he yet to reach the pinnacle of his medical skills? Or has limited time caused things to go awry? Han and Jang suddenly appeared in Jungyo's room. He breathed a sigh of relief upon seeing her. I was worried you would encounter countless difficulties, he exclaimed, because we destroyed the garden. But it seems things aren't so bad. Then he asked Han and Jang, how did it go? Jang smiled mischievously. She excitedly recounted, after meeting me, they want me to become a warrior. Snow was still falling on the top of the towering spire. Jang continued her story. Recently, the ice giants called the Nas are hastily building a fortified city, and they're desperately searching for an opportunity to attack the outpost. Right now, they're severely short-staffed to defend the outpost from them and other ferocious monsters. They desperately need our help. Hearing this, Jun-jong fell into deep thought. There are fewer giants here than I expected. So the dwindling number of giants is due to the Titans. But that will surely still pose a significant threat to humanity. Erwin is still investigating. Furthermore, he's been gathering a lot of information about the outside world, about their population, culture, geography, and even their military strength. He listened and then praised. Excellent work. She didn't hesitate to accept the compliment. Thank you. So, have you found the person you're looking for? Jun-jong looked pensive and shook his head. That's what's bothering me. Why is this working? It seems I need to do a little more digging. He shared, my initial plan was to search for the person I'm looking for and come back. However, we've now been given a responsibility to become courageous warriors. Is this the reason why you want to stay here longer? She confessed her thoughts. The giants aren't imprisoning us here. The truth is, if they leave this island of Utgard, they won't get far before collapsing. That must be why they can't leave. That's why I want to find a way to help them. Her words shocked him. Junji pondered deeply after meeting Wada. Initially, I only planned to bring a few others when I escaped from Utgard and tell you, you have a much better life than I do. Thank you. He thought to himself, sacrificing the few for the many sounds noble, and felt fortunate. I almost committed the greatest taboo against myself. The scene changes, revealing the bustling streets of the city after. The mercenary contract was signed. We were granted special permission to reside with the other citizens. Some citizens spotted them and started whispering amongst themselves. Is he the master of that ferocious wolf? It seems so. But why is he here? The citizens quietly observed him, their eyes filled with scrutiny. He looks dangerous. Junji could feel it too. They were wary, cautious of strangers. Jang spoke up, her voice tinged with worry. It seems we're not very welcome here. Suddenly, Si-gun came running from afar, shouting, "Brother!" She was overjoyed, sharing with a bright voice, "Thanks to the iron you gave me, my mother is well again." He responded with a relieved smile, his heart filled with peace. Suddenly, he noticed someone approaching. It was the renowned physician Wada. "How are you feeling?" Jun Ji extended his hand, greeting respectfully, "Sir, thanks to you, I feel much better now." As he finished speaking, their hands clasped together. Wada stroked his silver beard, carefully advising, "If you feel unwell, come find me anytime. I'll check on you again." With that, he left with Si-gun. Jun Ji's outstretched hand suddenly clenched into a fist, then slowly relaxed. His face was thoughtful, pondering something deeply. "This time, I deliberately reversed the flow of energy in my body." But he didn't seem to notice anything. He watched Wada's receding figure, his heart filled with suspicion. With his level of skill, he should have sensed something unusual. That man named Wada, am I misunderstanding something about him? Seeing Jun Ji's expression, In Chong asked worriedly, "Are you all right?" Jun Jiang sighed, a look of concern on his face. Seeing this, she gently comforted him. "Don't worry, you'll definitely find your family." In Chang's encouragement brought a relieved smile to Junying's face. His spirits lifted. He was ready for the challenge ahead. Just gathering 10 pieces of information would be enough. Together, they ventured into the city, searching for people to question. "You want to know how many giants live here, right?" Junying nodded in agreement. The man seemed hesitant, stammering his reply. "It's hard to say, maybe around 1,000? The young man standing beside him immediately countered. "What are you talking about? It's got to be more than 10,000. The young man's confident statement surprised the first man, making him question himself. Junying continued his questioning. "So, who are these people called NAS?" The young man answered. Utgard used to have a much larger giant population, 3 or 4 times what it is now. But then they had an internal conflict and one of their leaders left with a group of followers. Those are the NAS. Junying took note of this important information. Hearing this, the older man asked, "What about those who stayed behind?" The person beside him offered an answer. "They perished in a brutal war. At first, I thought there was some kind of epidemic." The young man agreed. "Yes, perhaps they couldn't adapt to the environment here and died after contracting some kind of disease." Those words darkened the young man's expression. A contagious disease. The information troubled him, and he continued to inquire. "Are there any other tribes living in this area?" The man pondered for a moment, then replied, "Well, there used to be." The words made Jun's expression even more serious. There used to be? At this time, a figure suddenly appeared in his mind. The Demon King book definitely mentioned that. He set foot in China and entered the city of giants. Since I've returned to the past, maybe I can find some clues to his existence. The 2 natives continued their story. They said that others had come before, but they had long since departed. "We never saw them ourselves, only heard of them from the giants," one native said mysteriously. "They said they found intruders just like you, but then they left without incident." Their account helped Jungyo make an important decision. "I suppose," he pondered, "it's best to ask the giants directly, and we should continue to share information. I'll tell you about the situation outside this world." With everything settled, Jungyo returned alone. This meeting seems to have been quite helpful, he thought to himself. Jungyo walked, lost in thought. They said someone stopped the plague among the giants, and that person is often invited to Wada Castle, the place I'm looking for. Surely that person is... His face was a little pale, as if something was weighing on his mind. Now I have to gather some information from the giants. Returning to the magnificent castle, Sachi suddenly realized someone was following her. He seemed incredibly excited. "Ha ha ha. Isn't this the one who burned down the castle garden?" He spoke with sincerity. "I want to express my gratitude for your help, even though we are of different races. Those dwarves and Vanir, they deeply hate our giant race. Today, I must embark on a journey." Hearing this, Jun's eyes widened with curiosity. "A journey?" Going outside, Sachi explained to him and joked. "Lately, the gnats have been constantly harassing and attacking us. I was wondering if I could borrow the power of the one who destroyed the castle garden." He smiled and nodded in agreement. The mighty giant army marched together across the cold, white snow. Sachi and Jun bravely stepped forward to intercept the gnats' attack. Utgat's army suddenly encountered another cavalry unit riding wyverns. Finally, they faced a reunion. That was completely unexpected. An encounter with the leader of the gnats. Stream led the army. On the other side stood a giant with an icy expression. He jumped down from his mount and strode forward. Sachi also stepped forward boldly, ready to fight. The two stood facing each other, only a short distance apart. The Nat leader called out, "Sachi." He replied, "Stream." June watched from afar with a worried expression. The situation seemed very dangerous. The Nat giants under Stream's command exuded a terrifying aura around him. He was truly powerful. June observed intently. He was much stronger than Sachi. Perhaps his power rivals that of the Giant King I encountered at the ancient fortress. Can I possibly understand their language? I can't understand a word they're saying. A notification from the apocalypse rings out. Language support activated for host. The Jotun language suddenly appears, startling him. This is unbelievable. Sachi and Suturum stand facing each other, their gazes locked in a sharp stare. Suturum roars in fury. "How dare you make this decision?" Sachi retorts sharply. "I have no reason to obey the orders of a traitor." He flies into a rage, striding forward. "Do you really want to continue serving that foolish king, Sachi? To see your tribe crumble like this, it's truly shameful. You are a disgrace to true warriors." "I'm not a traitor. We simply refuse to be ruled by Asgard." Suddenly, he bellows, "Enough!" An immense surge of energy erupts, engulfing Sachi. He unleashes his own power as well. Yes, that's exactly the approach we should take to solve this problem. Suddenly, he shifted his gaze in another direction. He spotted Feria and him watching them, his eyes flashing with a strange glint, as if looking at some extraordinary creature. "This guy is a subordinate of the leader of Aseo, and that guy," he chuckled smugly, "interesting. I'll see you around." Sachi flew into a rage, swinging her axe towards him and roaring, "What did you just say?" He easily sidestepped, dodging the axe swing. Sachi's axe crashed into the ground, creating a powerful shockwave that shook the earth. Suddenly, he shot towards Sachi like an arrow loose from a bow. Sachi's eyes widened, stunned by her opponent's terrifying speed. Right before Sachi's eyes was Sim's fist about to strike. The aftershock from his punch rippled across the ground, creating a tremendous pressure. He maintained a calm smile, bidding Sachi farewell. "See you later." Sachi looked forward again. That special creature, along with that special person, a soldier ran up to the commander. "Shouldn't we pursue him, Commander?" Sachi gasped, her mouth agape. He turned around. Stream is watching them. "If we attack now, we're going to lose men." This is infuriating. But the commander gave the order. "We have to avoid engaging the water spirit." Amidst the heavy snowfall, the group riding wyverns entered the dense forest. Everyone's face was filled with a lingering sadness, their eyes downcast, harboring a hint of despair. He silently watched them. They looked like defeated soldiers. But Sachi was right. Even though the giants were ferocious and aggressive, the power difference between the two sides was too significant. The image of Sachi and the water spirit facing each other suddenly flashed in his mind. The commander and Sachi. There seemed to be some sort of connection between them. Could they be friends or perhaps relatives? June wondered, was he distracted by something? He watched him lost in thought. The giants must have seen him, but they didn't react at all. What was he doing there? He was curious. Who was this person at Sachi? He calmly looked down. "A lowly mercenary like you dares to help Utgar?" Sachi looked over worriedly and asked, "Hey, are you looking for herbs again?" Junji expressed surprise. "You're really looking for herbs? That's hard to believe." Wanhwa looked up and replied, "Yes, that's right." Sachi kindly offered, "The gnats are lurking nearby. It's very dangerous. Why don't you come with us?" "Come with us?" He didn't flinch. "I was planning on heading back anyway." "Who's the person beside you?" He smiled brightly and introduced, "This is Junji, Utgar's new mercenary. And this is Wada, our mercenary and doctor." "A mercenary and a doctor too." Junji suddenly chuckled. "Finally found it." Faintly visible in the distance was a sturdy, ancient fortress, standing tall amidst the relentless blizzard. Intrang cheerfully walked out. "I'm home." The little boy looked at her curiously. "You seem happy," she shared. "I made a significant breakthrough today. I was hunting and got ambushed by a group of soldiers, but they ran away as soon as they saw me." Junji didn't seem very happy. "On the contrary, I didn't have to fight at all. However, I did encounter their commander, and he seemed quite strong." The girl looked worried. "You must be tired." "Oh, by the way, one of the attackers." He looked surprised. "A human," Inchan explained seriously. "Yes, he looked Chinese. And he blocked my sword with ease. He used a spear just like you, but he had a strange face." Junji tensed up. "A Chinese hunter?" strong enough to block John Inchong's blade. I can't believe someone like that exists. Then he spoke. I also found the person I was looking for. The girl clapped her hands excitedly. That's wonderful, but what's wrong? You don't seem very happy. He's regained his composure faster than I have. I'm worried something bad might happen again. I'm going to talk to him. Would you like to come along? In Hyong appeared indifferent. Even if I go, I don't think I can solve anything. Jun Ji offered her the necklace. Then, could you do me a favor? He carefully explained, this is Merlin's necklace. It can help you understand every language in the world. I believe you'll know how to use it. The roof was covered in white snow. Red lanterns hung, suspended, glowing softly. A long line of people patiently queued in front of the house. Wada frantically called out, Divine healers! Divine healers! Please save my son. Von Hun is drenched in sweat. Just a little longer. Jun Ji stood beside her, observing everything, reassuringly said, everything will be all right. In China, they say the greatest physician is Wada. Now I understand why. Suddenly, she stepped closer behind him. But why are there so many patients? Do you have any trouble turning your head? Li Junjiang offered a bag of blood. He gave a bright smile. I have some things to take care of, so I thought this might help you. Wanho was stunned, asking in surprise, this much? Thank you, Wanho said sincerely. The patients were lying in their beds. And with the amount of medicine Li Junjiang brought, Wanho was able to treat them. And afterward, he had a conversation with Wanho. The house with the curved glass roof was bathed in soft sunlight today. Finally, he spoke without any pleasantries. If you don't mind, could you allow me to take your pulse? Jun Jiang was puzzled, wondering why. Wanho replied seriously. I had this thought earlier. I had a strange feeling when I shook your hand. Jun Jiang had found him. Guanhua. Guanhua took his wrist, his eyes deep in thought. He pondered for a moment. Gunhua said gently, this might be a little uncomfortable. Let me examine a few more spots. Jun Ji calmly accepted, showing no signs of worry. A strange glint suddenly flashed in his eyes. Gunhua channeled energy from his body into Jun Ji's hand. Jun Ji suddenly recalled the moment In Chong transferred magic to him. Although he had allowed it, carrying someone else's magic was truly a burden. It was the magical residue left by John In Chong. He felt incredibly surprised. Gunhua was checking his condition simply by taking his pulse. Yet, he didn't feel any pain. This feeling, it was as if the energy was his own. Could it be? He suddenly froze. Jun Ji abruptly pushed Wanho's hand away, leaving him bewildered. Jun Ji said seriously, I understand. You also, Wanho stammered. Learn inner key? What? Just then, he suddenly blurted out the phrase mana flow. Both of them simultaneously brought up this novel concept. Under the cold eaves amidst the silent night, Jun Ji pensively looked into Wada's eyes and asked, where did you learn the term mana flow? Wada replied with a puzzled look, you're asking about mana flow? We call it inner chi. Jun Ji sank into thought. We call it mana flow, not inner chi. Could there be others who know this term? Wanho calmly explained, yes, the people from the NAS organization. Jun Ji suddenly recalled the previous conversation. The people John In Chong had met seemed to be hiding a secret. Jun Ji pondered, his eyes filled with sorrow. Right now, we need to deal with the black stone orb first. He turned to Wanho, asking with a worried expression, have you noticed anything unusual about my energy flow? Wanho showed deep concern. Your bloodline seems impure. Your aura is quite unusual. I've only glanced at it, so it might not be entirely accurate. But are you experiencing any health problems? Jun Ji admitted, you know, I was the one who healed the Demon King. Can I trust you? Jun Ji said earnestly, I encountered a slight problem during my training. Remember when you unleashed that tremendous power? The evil energy from the slain monster invaded my body. These shiny black stones appeared, just as the legends describe. The demonic energy within me fused with other energy sources and solidified into these stones. And these stones emit an incredibly intense and painful energy. Jun Ji tried to explain clearly. I don't know what these stones are. And that strange energy flow can't seem to change anything. Wanhua slowly spoke. Well then, Jun Ji, may I be so bold as to check your pulse again? This time it will be very serious, perhaps even dangerous. You seem awfully calm. Jun Ji lay still on the bed, patiently waiting. Wanhua wiped the sweat from his brow, feeling as if his insides were being ripped apart. Yet, you're able to withstand it in an extraordinary way. He looked up confused. What do you mean? You need to be careful, Jun Jiang. Your black stone fragments are different. Normally, they would consume a person's life force, like a sort of contagious disease. But the black stone fragments in your body are the complete opposite. They seem to be stimulating your internal energy. Jun Jiang sat up abruptly. Stimulating my internal energy? What does that mean? Junhua carefully chose his words. They're not causing too much damage. The reason you feel pain is because they are forcing your internal energy to circulate. He added worriedly. However, it's still incredibly dangerous. The stronger you become, the stronger the black stone fragments will become too, he exclaimed in astonishment. Even stronger? Junhua's expression turned grave. Yes, if one day they become stronger than you, you'll overload. As if remembering the battle with the giant. He continued, leading to qi deviation. But it's strange, Jun Jiang. You're able to control it. Jun Jiang was lost in thought. Those unfortunate enough to succumb to qi deviation perished in the frozen wasteland. After a moment of hesitation, Sa Wonho nodded slowly in agreement. He recalled the horrifying images of the victims of dark magic, those consumed by qi deviation, their inner energy exploding into the mysterious land beyond the NAS. Countless mysteries remained unsolved. But at least he had gathered a significant amount of knowledge. A mysterious black orb appeared as he muttered unintelligible words. The black stone was safe and constantly absorbing energy, growing in power. Jun Jiang was deep in thought. As power grew, humanity would inevitably face hidden dangers. But that was also inevitable. While putting his clothes back on, he pondered. Was the Demon King studying the flow of mana from inner energy? Manhwa thought to himself, thanks to inner energy, I have the ability to amplify magical flow. Wada, please put on some clothes. Can we talk for a bit? Wona spoke without hesitation. I also have a few things I'd like to ask you. The door closed. Junying pondered thoughtfully. Even though you didn't participate in the fight, why was someone injured? He calmly replied, because energy is limitless. Wonha lifted his teacup. Hunters have guardians. It's fortunate to reach a place like this. But ordinary people can't withstand a large amount of energy and become ill. The image of the desolate, ruined city outside appeared. According to what you're saying, is that the reason why so many people are sick? The gates have started appearing everywhere. I'm a doctor, a global citizen. This place has become a forbidden zone. Ordinary people can't survive here. He set down his teacup before China transformed into a massive spatial gateway. At the time, I was studying medicine in Europe. I returned home and heard this devastating news, hoping to contribute what little I could. Gigantic monsters roared and marched, vividly appearing as he recounted the events. The outside world calls this place the territory of the Hell King, the Monster Kingdom. Wonhua's eyes widened in astonishment. So why did you come to such a dangerous place? Is there a rescue team coming here soon? Jun Ji looked at him with an indifferent, cold expression. There's never been any rescue team, and the official announcement is that there will never be one. His face darkened. I understand. Tell me more, because they're already here. Wonhua gasped, his mouth agape. Suddenly, a slight smile touched his lips. Wonho scowled. Don't joke around. With just 2 people, Chun dares to challenge Fanis? He has 2 others with him, enough to make even giants tremble. One of them isn't even human. Calling him a walking skeleton wouldn't be wrong. He lifted his chin, looking directly at his team. So, what's the difference? We have to bring everyone, right? Zhang Jiaiguk firmly stated. No. Wonhua, confused, was cut off mid-sentence. I can't do it alone. He was even more astonished. Are you that confident? Give me information on those who follow Fanis. I need their support. Wonhua was indignant. Are you crazy? You know nothing about them. Zhang Jiaiguk took a sip of tea. Then tell me. Few hunters survive in Utgard. Meaning most hunters follow Fenris. But why? He suddenly panicked. I don't know. I was just out gathering herbs. And when I returned, the hunters had left Utgard. He was lost in thought, issuing a decree to summon the hunters. I can't think of any other solution, he said in despair. Wada's eyes were filled with sorrow, like those who yearn to save others but are powerless against fate. Noticing the pensive silence in Wonho's eyes, he quickly spoke up. I want to help everyone escape from this place. We need the help of those skilled hunters. And most importantly, we must become stronger. Suddenly, he leaned towards Wonho, whispering a request. There's something I need to ask you. I want to learn inner chi. Wanho was momentarily surprised, then quickly recognized the fierce determination in him. If I possess an abundant source of energy, if I master energy, I can get closer to the Demon King's power. The wind howled fiercely around the frigid castle. 3 people, Junji, Ong, and another, were working hastily amidst the falling snow. A powerful barrier had been erected. "It's done," Manhwa exclaimed triumphantly. "I've erected a powerful barrier around this area to ensure no inner energy leaks out. As long as we cultivate here, no one will be able to detect our presence." Junji suddenly looked skeptical. "Do we really need something like this to cultivate?" "Of course," he asserted firmly. "Cultivating inner energy requires absorbing spiritual energy from the surroundings. During this process, the energy fluctuations will be incredibly intense and could very well attract the attention of powerful enemies." Wonho had been observing him anxiously from the start. "Gathering spiritual energy is already difficult enough. Do we really need a barrier to block the natural flow of energy?" "What happened?" Junji tried to remain calm. "I've always been able to sense and absorb energy from nature," he questioned the young man. "Don't tell me you can gather surrounding spiritual energy without any formal training? Who is your master? What kind of internal energy cultivation have you been practicing?" "Impossible." "You understood just from overhearing a few complex words?" Wonho looked hesitant. "You seem to possess internal energy potential, equivalent to a skilled sorcerer. I had a feeling you were extraordinary, but the truth surpasses even my expectations." Suddenly, he burst into laughter. "Then that's great." Junji asked, "Great about what?" Wonho confidently clenched his fist. "Although my technique is excellent, but after hearing you speak, perhaps I understand the reason why. I think we can solve the problem of the internal energy being poisoned." Outside the camp, the snow-capped mountains were faintly visible in the mist. The 3 members of Huan Yu conferred amongst themselves. Robin asked suspiciously, "There aren't any hunters with skills like that, are there?" Kanbai said glumly, "That's right." He added anxiously, "Have they finally sent reinforcements?" When you looked doubtful. "I don't think so. If there really were reinforcements, NAS would have detected them. Maybe it's just a small group, 10 people at most." Robbie exclaimed in astonishment. "What the hell is going on? I'm so frustrated that I let this happen," he said remorsefully. "But now I don't even understand how things got this bad." Robbie inquired, "How long does it take for a hunter to become stronger?" Vanu smiled. "We're making good progress. Our spirits are bolstered and resources are plentiful." He asked worriedly, "Wanai, what about you two?" "We are too," they replied in unison. Joby snapped, "You two have to be stronger." Suddenly, he raised his sword, declaring resolutely, "For the common goal." He firmly repeated, "For the common goal." Kongbai, mustering all his strength, roared, "For the common goal." Their weapons clashed, unleashing an earth-shattering force. The snow-laden branches trembled slightly. Wanhwa was focusing all her energy on channeling power to Junjaya. His eyes were closed in deep concentration, but the mana flow, a burning heat like fire as the mana flow takes shape. "It feels like a raging storm, tearing my body apart piece by piece." He's focusing all his power, concentrating on my speed. "We're almost there, but it might hurt a little." The green jade suddenly emitted a blinding light. He bit his lip hard, enduring in silence, sweat pouring down like rain, trying not to make a sound. Suddenly, Hun-Hun's eyes flew open, his pupils constricting. I never thought it would feel this amazing." The black stone emanated a terrifying dark energy. "This toxic energy is far more powerful than I imagined. It's not just absorbing mana, but it's also seeping into his body, draining his life force from the inside out." Dark veins bulged across Junhyang's body. His gaze hardened. "I can't stop." Wanho gritted his teeth. "I've started this. I have to see it through." The surrounding barrier suddenly began to radiate. Fenrir cautiously scanned their surroundings, sharp eyes probing every corner. A powerful surge of energy suddenly erupted from the barrier, tearing through space. Sachi gasped, looking up at the sky with a horrified expression. "What's happening?" "I can clearly sense a massive energy converging on that frozen wasteland." Yu shuddered, his face etched with unease and worry. "Impossible. Neither of them could possess such terrifying power. The only one capable of unleashing such a massive amount of energy could only be Stream." remembering the moment Stream unleashed that earth-shattering punch. Sachi gritted his teeth, rage burning in his heart. He spun around and roared with authority. All Utgard warriors, prepare for battle. Everyone stared at Sachi in disbelief, unable to process what they had just heard. A young man hesitantly spoke up, but, Captain, the king, the chieftain, won't agree. Sachi's lips tightened into a thin line. He burst out, "How much longer must we endure this?" Sachi's voice hardened with resolve. How much longer must we hide and live in fear? Worry and anxiety were clearly etched on his face. The enemy is attacking relentlessly, following the chieftain's orders. How much longer? Until the pride and glory of the giants vanish completely? Make it stop. He pounded his chest and declared confidently, "I will take responsibility for everything that happens today. We will reclaim honor for the giant race." Across the snowy land, everyone bowed their heads in obedience. Atop the towering wall, a soldier swiftly blew a horn, signaling the alarm. The army marched in stern formation, heading towards the other side of the mountain range. Stream gazed into the distance. What? Is that Sachi? Impossible, he pondered. No, Sachi isn't capable of this. Could it be? Loki's sinister face suddenly flashed in his mind. The commander of the Utgard Legion. Could it be him? The movie unleashed a barrage of relentless attacks. He's supposed to be occupied with other matters. What's going on? This could be a surprise ambush. He let out a sinister laugh. But what better opportunity could there be? A golden opportunity. We can't miss this. Film raises his hand, signaling the assembly of all troops. Today we conquer Utgard. The emerald energy beam continues to shoot skyward, connecting the protective barrier to the vast heights above. Amidst the snow-covered winter landscape, Fenrir suddenly senses something amiss. Outside, the two armies are locked in a fierce standoff. Sachi's troops stand in formation, firm and unwavering. Stream's forces are equally formidable, their morale sky-high. Sachi inquires, "So this is your doing, Stream? What's the meaning of this?" At the same time, Stream speaks up. "So you orchestrated all of this? Is the king inside there?" Sachi looks astonished. Hearing this, Stream realizes something, his expression turning to shock. Fedya stands outside the mysterious barrier, radiating an immense energy. The boy, with a ferocious glare, growls a warning at the crowd. Entrang surmises Feria is protecting something, which means Ijunnying is inside. The film reaches its climax. "I don't understand what you're saying." He begins to focus energy into his hand, his aura surging. "I can't trust you anymore, and there's no point in trying to make peace with you." Deep down, he regrets, "If only the king were here," but outwardly, he provokes. "Today, I will fight to the death." Sachi firmly responds, "If you're so stubborn, I have no other choice." He roars the command, "Giant warriors." A frantic shout, "NAS soldiers." Both commands ring out almost simultaneously, without prior discussion. Attack! Immediately, the giant army charges forward with sharp axes in hand. The NAS Legion on the other side quickly joins the battle. Sachi and Stream clash, beginning a fierce fight. Inside a protective barrier, Jun Jiayong is focusing, channeling his energy. Finally, he opens his eyes, looking straight ahead, then suddenly turns his head as if searching for something. The young man looked at the person behind him, his face pale with terror. Manhwa was overflowing with joy. "You're awake. You're finally awake." His face no longer held a youthful appearance, but looked like that of an 80-year-old man. "It's not over yet." This technique, along with this rage and this flow of energy, before he could finish his sentence, he was exhausted and collapsed. June was startled and panicked. Manhwa quickly put his hand on his neck to check his pulse. Then he breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness he's still alive. Memories suddenly flooded back into his mind. Wada had sacrificed his youth to save him. An apple suddenly appeared in his hand. "I won't let you die like this." June told himself, reasoning with himself. The Demon King saved Wada's life with some kind of elixir he possesses. But I don't have an elixir. The only way to save Wada is to use this eating apple, also known as the Asgard apple. I prayed to Odin for protection, just in case. Junji suddenly remembered the advice he received years ago. "You once said I must absorb all the energy contained within this technique. I will do that." He placed the apple on Hanwha's chest and said softly, "Therefore, you must also eat this eaten apple." Junji stood up, murmuring about the flow of mana. He spread his arms wide. eagerly welcoming the surging energy swirling around him. It converged powerfully like a cascading waterfall. Outside, the two sides were locked in a fierce battle. With each swing of axe and hammer, blood gushed like a geyser. Injang, with her lightning-fast sword, swiftly cut down several enemies. She decapitated them in the blink of an eye. Injang thought to herself, he may be large, but his strength is nothing special. Suddenly, she glanced to her right, just in time to block a surprise attack. The forceful impact sent her staggering backward, crashing into a spear shaft. The spear spun wildly in the air. The sword then returned to the hand of its master, none other than Kong Bai. He exclaimed excitedly, "We meet again. You're still as formidable as ever." In her mind, Entrang thought, he's definitely stronger than those giants. She shouted for help. Gong Du. Still immersed in battle, Gong Du suddenly heard Entrang's call and immediately returned to her side. Kong Bai was stunned by Gong Du's massive size. Kong Bai looked surprised. He stammered, "Monster!" Entrang turned and ordered Gong Du, "I'll fight this one. You hold back the other giants." Gong Du looked excited and confident. It roared mightily, as if to confirm its determination to complete the task. Immediately after, Gong Du soared into the air, obeying Entrang's command. Entrang smiled. "All right then." Purple energy enveloped her, declaring her readiness to fight. "Let's battle." Kong Bai laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha. How exciting. I like you." He strained to lift his axe high, preparing to strike down. Entrang's eyes were sharp as blades, ready to meet the attack. The ear-splitting clash of their weapons rang out. The impact of their weapons was deafening. Sparks flew, blindingly bright. He offered a compliment. "You've gotten stronger, Sachi." Sachi retorted with pride. "But you haven't changed at all." The impact of the attack was fiercer than ever before. Sparks erupted violently, merging into a cataclysmic explosion. Deep wounds covered Sachi's body. He gasped for breath after the fierce exchange. "Since our last battle, I've become stronger. But the gap in our strength is still too vast. You truly are the strongest giant warrior." Sachi questioned with indignant rage. "But why would a respected warrior like you betray your own people?" He lunged forward with all his might, the ground cracking and crumbling beneath him, each step more powerful than the last. He roared with all his fury. "Why did you betray us?" He coldly countered with his sword, indifferent to the question. A terrifying clash echoed resoundingly. He was furious. "I can't tolerate him sitting on the throne, pretending to be a righteous ruler. Moreover, this film blatantly exposes his inner dissatisfaction. Perhaps you're unaware, but he destroyed everything we had, stole everything we owned." Hearing this, Sachi froze for a moment, but immediately regained his composure and punched Stream in the face. He never expected that in a moment of vulnerability, he would receive such a devastating blow. Stream instantly dropped his axe, retaliating with a thunderous punch, sending Sachi flying 10 meters away. He growled, uttering a horrifying truth. "The one who murdered my friend and your father on Bundik was him." While struggling to his feet, Sachi asked in shock, "What?" Stream said gravely, "That devil, Loki, he killed Olivia." Those words were like a thunderbolt, leaving Sachi breathless and speechless. The scene changes. At the protective barrier, energy is still being drastically drained. The energy flow is so overwhelming that the barrier explodes. This makes Stream turn a look as well. Everyone momentarily stops fighting. At the location of the protective barrier, a brilliant vortex appears beneath the thick fog. A towering figure stood amidst the vast space. It was none other than Junji. He looked at the figure lying on the ground, softly whispering Wanwu's name. A faint blush colored Wanwu's face, making him appear younger than before. Junji thought to himself, his condition has improved, but why isn't it as effective as I expected? The Apple of Eden is a treasure more valuable than any magical elixir, yet it seems only enough to sustain his life. I don't sense any increase in his mana. He looked at his own palm with a doubtful expression. Could it be me? Did I absorb the energy of the Apple of Eden when I used my mana earlier? I clenched my fist back then. That might be the reason why the mana flow became so overwhelming. Junji's eyes suddenly sharpened, filled with fighting spirit. I think that right now, I could even defeat Hercules. Suddenly, he felt a strange, inexplicable sensation. What kind of energy is this? He wondered. Not just dozens, but hundreds, thousands. He stood frozen, lost in confusion, unable to find an answer. What was happening? Just then, Injiong landed beside him. She spoke, her voice filled with worry. Are you all right? Thank goodness. A system panel suddenly appeared. The fallen heavens expressed their contempt for you. He was stunned. Contempt? Why? Notifications continued to pop up without pause. Unbelievable. A phenomenal achievement. Mana flow has been upgraded. Purification and magic resistance have been enhanced. Hyamu has leveled up. A layer of fairy seal has been released. The Naz soldiers, seeing him, erupted in shouts. Just a mere human? This is our chance. Attack. With that, he lunged back into the fray, unleashing a flurry of punches. He softly spoke, summoning Hyunmu. The divine beast materialized instantly, bowing respectfully. I await your command, master. He affirmed, I leave everything to you. Hyunmu inquired, shall I eliminate those giants? He chuckled softly, a look of amusement on his face. Hyunmu, you seem to have changed a bit. Only asking that now. Get one watt as safety. Hyunmu seemed to express dissatisfaction. I've also gotten much stronger. Hyunmu replied sadly, as you command. He turned his attention to the ongoing battle. All right, one wall will be safe. And now, he launched himself into the air, at terrifying speed, leaving only an afterimage, flying straight towards where Sachi and Stream were locked in a fierce battle. He unleashed a powerful punch aimed directly at Stream, despite the difference in size. Then, he flickered in and out of existence, launching a relentless barrage of attacks. Witnessing his opponent in such a pathetic state, Sachi could only express words of sympathy and compassion on the live broadcast. He was astonished by the incredible power the boy possessed. Lee Jungyo, this kid, could he be an AI? He's become exponentially stronger since our first encounter. Under a sky of falling snow, a group clashed fiercely. Jungyo unleashed a terrifying energy, commanding Fenrir. Do as you please. The boy immediately bared his razor-sharp teeth, finally transforming back into Vandergander, towering behind him. It then leaped into the air, creating a terrifying shockwave that shook the snow-covered ground. Jungyo glanced to the side. Well then, let's have a little chat. It was the group of 3 zombies, also relentlessly releasing a terrifying magical power. He spoke in a low voice. Are you an AI? Jungyo's blood-red eyes observed his opponent sharply. I can't underestimate them. All of them are heroes. And the 2 behind possess skills on par with Zhang. The young man responded sternly, his voice resolute. That's the same question I have for you. Who are you? Jubi, that name sounds unfamiliar. Tell me, what is Jubi? His voice was laced with annoyance and frustration. Jiangyi contemplated deeply, searching his memories for the name Jubi. I've never heard that name before. He shook his head, confusion evident on his face. Someone possessing such extraordinary power should have been recorded in the books. His voice was even, tinged with suspicion. He gripped his spear tightly, his eyes sharp as knives. I only want to ask one thing. His eyes were filled with killing intent, like icy blades. Why did you betray humanity? Just because they aren't SAO hunters? The question was filled with anger and disappointment. Roby gritted his teeth in response, his voice full of resentment. I didn't betray them. He pushed off the ground with explosive force, launching himself forward. His twin swords flashed, his shout echoing. That was the path they chose. It's all for the greater good. Jiangyi swung his sword down in a decisive and powerful strike. His voice was low and commanding. Absurd. Robbie was knocked back a considerable distance, unable to withstand the force of the attack. He roared in outrage. What greater good can justify betraying humanity? Robbie, sweating profusely, hastily explained, I made a promise to Stream that if King Utgar were defeated, we would help rebuild China. Jun Jiai and Sang Lao simultaneously charged towards him. You dare to make that promise to King Utgard as well. Suddenly, Wan Yu, standing behind Jun Jiai, yelled, Hyungnam. Hearing this, he bolted upright. At the same time, a thunderous attack descended from him. He seized the opportunity to slash, but he dodged and shouted, Weapon! Jun Jiai gritted his teeth in frustration, realizing that Zhang Bai had taken the opportunity to point his spear at him. Got you. Just as the sharp spear point was about to reach Jun Jiai, he easily caught it. Then, with a powerful heave, he tossed the spear upwards, spun in the air, and unleashed a kick that sent him tumbling. He slid down the snow-covered mountainside. Robbie frowned, answering his previous question. That's impossible for the king of Utgard. His blade flashed menacingly, reflecting the fury within him. He murdered countless lives in the shadows, just because of spreading disease. Allying with someone like him is utterly pointless. Jun Jiaong's eyes widened, stunned by the revelation. This is related to the secret incident only hunters know about. What happened while Wanho was away? So that explains the shockingly low survival rate in Utgard and why the hunters betrayed them. His eyes burned with outrage. But then, the electricity surged more violently than ever. You said it was for the establishment of China, but you abandoned them. Robbie gasped in protest. I never abandoned them. Chen Wanyu and Jiang Bai were intensely focused behind him. Jun Jiaong made his decision. There are still too many mysteries we don't know. First, we need to subdue them. Then we'll listen to explanations. You, come here and accept the challenge. Beyond the sky, heavy snow blanketed the ground. Stream stood silently, his expression grim. Onvin gradually realized the dark plot the chieftain was brewing. Sachi, puzzled, repeated the words, a plot. He calmly spoke. Loki wants to turn this land into Jotunheim. Stream tensed, realizing something. What plot? Stream's expression became serious and wary. To cleanse this world, he continued, and turn it into a realm for the giants. He wants to slaughter all beings that are not giants. And Alvandi sacrificed himself trying to stop him. Sachi gritted his teeth. Why? Why are you only telling me this now? The harsh truth caused him to erupt in fury. He focused his recruitment energy, raising both hands before his chest, unleashing a powerful skill. He threw a straight punch, without hesitation or a second thought. The punch carried earth-shattering force, making the surrounding snow vanish in an instant. 2 hot tears streamed down his cheeks. Why have you been silent for so long? Why didn't you tell the truth? But he only replied indifferently. I couldn't let myself lose to you. You're a loyal warrior of the giant clan. Could you betray your leader, the one who murdered your father? A critical blow sent him flying dozens of meters. You see, even knowing the truth, the thought of betrayal never even crossed your mind. He raised his fist high, immense power radiating from it, emphasizing his point. Another punch, packed with immense energy, landed, causing Sachi to writhe in pain. Blood spurted out as Sachi collapsed, caught by him. Swim whispered softly, sleep now, until it's all over. Suddenly, a voice rang out, wait. Swim turned his head, looking back. Zombies lay scattered and broken across the cold, white snow. Junji looked at him with a confident, triumphant smirk. Swim's face darkened, a sneer twisting his lips. Interesting. Stream stood silently, observing Junji through the swirling mist. A special one. Look at that confident expression. That guy's now as dangerous as Sachi. Stream's expression turned serious. As dangerous as Loki. He suddenly exclaimed, "Oomph." A surge of energy erupted around his body. Stream's eyes filled with murderous intent. I was saving this power for the king, but it seems I'll have to use it sooner than expected. Junji suddenly raised his hand. He raised both hands high. I surrender. The words stunned him into silence. Inchong, in the distance, spun around in shock. The other giants were also astonished, their attention riveted on him. Joby stared in surprise at the offered blood pack. Junji smiled warmly. Now drink this. The young man seemed lost in confusion, wondering why. His eyes darted away, avoiding any direct gaze. His voice was a whisper, filled with despair. I don't have the will to fight anymore. He looked toward Sachi, lying unconscious. The brilliant commander of Usgad had fallen. Then his gaze shifted to Jangbai and Wanu, their hands clasped tightly together, a testament to friendship and sacrifice. And now I understand. I understand why you humans choose to side with the NAS. Junji, with a cryptic smile playing on his lips, spoke. This insignificant mercenary will no longer participate in this meaningless war. His declaration was like a bucket of cold water thrown onto the raging flames of battle, silencing the enthusiastic stream of viewers. He retracted his blazing power. His voice was strangely calm. Be at ease. I accept your surrender. As soon as he finished speaking, the NAZ army raised their hands in the air, erupting in cheers. Meanwhile, the Usgat army was plunged into a terrifying silence, their fighting spirit visibly diminished. Film abruptly turned, ordering, "Don't kill him. The blood of the Frost Giants has been enough for this brutal civil war." Youngi's gaze shifted forward once more. I will watch over the ideals you pursue. Show me what you can do. Robin was stunned into silence. Jangbai and Wonyu introduced themselves in turn. I am Wonyu, and I am Jangbai. Suddenly, Streamer declared solemnly, We will advance on Utgard. We will defeat King Loki. The entire Naz army erupted in cheers, their voices echoing across the land. Suddenly, the system's voice rang out. The fall of heaven. His face contorted in displeasure as he glared at everyone. The fall of heaven smirked derisively. Young-hee pondered the announcement. I'm not sure why, but the fall of heaven seems very displeased. Could it be that he's irritated after hearing the name Loki, the king of Utgard? Streamer addressed Young. I'm curious about why you suddenly retreated. He replied casually. Because we are mercenaries. A bright smile spread across his lips. If you offer a suitable reward, I'm willing to lend my full support. He let out an amused chuckle. Now that sounds interesting. Lee Jun-jaeong's group watched as his straight back receded into the distance. In Chong spoke up, worry lacing his voice. Jun-jaeong, are you really all right with this? You seem awfully cheerful. Shouldn't you be more concerned? She was still fretting, but he cut her off as he shrugged on his jacket. Didn't I make this clear from the beginning? Our stance from the very start has been neutrality. Hyunmoo, carrying Onwo on his back, chimed in. We achieved our objective in coming to China. Jun-jaeong nodded in agreement. And powerful hunters like Zombie, Wonwoo and Zongbai will assist the others in Utgard. Isn't this the best possible outcome? In Chong smiled in agreement. I suppose you're right. The entire city of Utgard was engulfed in a sea of fire and black smoke. The attack on the Crumbs was proceeding smoothly, as most of them were exhausted from their battle with the giant warriors. Initially, the city's inhabitants surrendered to the enemy. Taking advantage of the citizens' surrender, the warriors easily infiltrated the city. The AI's worried voice echoed. Wonho-si, are you alright? Jun-jong breathed a sigh of relief as Wonho-si opened his eyes. You're awake. He frantically turned his head to look in the opposite direction, only to see thick smoke and fire billowing relentlessly. The NAS warriors were discussing something. Wonho gritted his teeth. He angrily shouted at Jun-jaeong. You were a traitor from the start. Why did you do this? I don't even know. Jun-jaeong asked back, bewildered. What are you talking about? I told you. A gentle face spoke up as a reminder. Although a bit late, the rescue team has arrived. Wonho was astonished. What? Then he noticed the group of three, Zhou Bai, Wan Yu, and Zhang Bai, approaching Junji. He solemnly entrusted Zhou Bai. Gather the people of Utgard. If there's a chance, I'm not stopping you from leaving. Wonhwa, why have you returned? Please, you must help them. If it's you, Wonhwa, someone I trust implicitly, then you could surely unite everyone without any trouble. Calm yourself and think this through. I can sense that you, the young man, driven by a desire to help others, spoke with unwavering determination. I don't fully grasp the situation, but I understand. Lee Jun-jaeong smiled with satisfaction, his eyes gleaming with contentment. Then I will continue to carry out my mercenary mission. Chen Junhua spoke, his voice laced with suspicion. Before you go, may I ask you something? How do you feel? The young man clenched his fists, power seemingly surging through his body. A fierce fire ignited, engulfing him, and an expression of pure ecstasy spread across his face. A cold, mechanical system voice announced. New mission initiated. Eliminate the imposter. Time limit, 15 minutes. A frigid atmosphere descended, blanketing everything in a layer of white snow. A fire erupted within the grand, magnificent castle, painting the snowy landscape with vibrant crimson hues. People hurriedly donned cloaks, evacuating under the guidance of the rescue team. Wonho gazed towards the raging inferno, his thoughts fixed on Lee Jun-jaeong. Be careful, the king is very powerful. Elsewhere, a group emanated a menacing aura of crimson energy, standing before the Dark King, who sat upon an imposing throne. Loki roared furiously, his deep voice filled with rage. How dare a despicable traitor like you set foot in this sacred hall? Fim observed him sharply, his gaze as cold and piercing as a dagger aimed at Loki. Now it's your turn to pay. He didn't seem fazed or afraid. I should have eliminated you when I had the chance. Zhang Hui watched silently, his sharp eyes assessing his opponent. He remained calm in the presence of hundreds of ferocious giants. The overbearing aura radiating from the true king was overwhelming. What other secrets could he be hiding? How can he remain so calm? Fim scoffed, a sardonic smile playing on his lips. Are you regretting not killing me the way you did? Unyun, a sly smile crept on a Loki's lips. He was deliberately provoking, trying to enrage his opponent. I know the reason you betrayed us was because of Olivia. Immediately, Esserim gritted his teeth in fury. You bastard. He then mustered all his strength, raising his power to a comparable level, ready to fight. His grandparents remained calm and composed, casually praising him. Impressive. Suddenly, a hand reached out and snapped its fingers, as if casting some kind of magic. A massive coffin nearby suddenly shook violently, and the lid shattered into pieces. A blood-red hand slowly emerged. A powerful, muscular monster broke free from its confinement and charged out. Another monster leaped in through the window. Each monster landed on the ground with a powerful boom. A massive army of monsters had assembled before their leader. Zhang Hui frowned, observing the terrifying crimson creatures. Those are the mindless, brutal giants that I witnessed here before. How? Loki grinned savagely, a look of wicked delight on his face. Fim gritted his teeth and demanded, You bastard, what have you done? Could it be that you used me to analyze? I heard that most of the giants succumb to a dangerous, contagious disease. That can't be true. They're too powerful. They have no humanity left. And compared to before, when they were driven mad by bloodlust, now they're obeying the king's orders. Looking at the panting creatures, neither human nor demon, he couldn't help but voice his thoughts. Finally, the scattered pieces began to fall into place. The king sacrificed his own people to create a deadly army. Loki laughed, a savage sound that served as confirmation. Just as he suspected, he needed an army. Just obey my commands, and they become that army. Such utter glory. Suddenly, a figure flashed forward, creating tiny sparks of electricity. Pai and Su, fists clenched, charged past the monsters towards him. Seeing this, he quickly activated his power balance mode. A terrifying pressure instantly radiated outwards. Then he unleashed a blast of dark purple energy. A critical hit landed. The energy is converging, its raw power overflowing, unstoppable, bursting through even the roof. After subduing Loki, he boasts arrogantly, rallying his loyal warriors. His eyes blaze with fury. Tear that traitor apart. His followers roar in response, their cries echoing. One by one, they charge forward. The two broken men are still reeling in shock. With a single blow, Stream, what are we going to do? But contrary to their expectations, a hand emerges from the rubble, followed by Stream himself. Though slightly injured, he's filled with unwavering strength and spirit. He roars, broken men, take down their leader. He's lost his honor. Attack. Hearing their leader's call, they instantly rush forward. Stream is back. Charge. And Kang still can't comprehend what's happening. Li Jungyo, what in the world is going on? Explain this to me. The king wants to build his own private army, and it seems he's been transforming the giants to serve that wicked purpose. Hearing his every word, the girl was completely shocked. You mean, he murdered his own people and experimented on them? He glanced at her, repeating once more, he's a mad king, treating the lives of his people like dirt. He's a demon in human form. And the battle raged on without pause. A battered soldier had just landed 2 critical blows on the monster's body, but the attacks seemed to have no effect. Its eyes widened, more frenzied than ever. Suddenly, it lunged down, clamping its jaws onto the soldier's shoulder, causing him to scream in agony. Get off me, you damn beast. But the monster continued to maul him, ripping flesh from his body with a blood-curdling scream. The remaining creatures went berserk, lunging at other targets. He calmly observed the chaotic scene unfolding before him. The transformed giants had completely lost their minds, attacking like wild beasts. At this rate, humanity wouldn't stand a chance. The only solution was... His train of thought abruptly stopped, but then a spark ignited in his eyes. Loki stood above, calmly observing everything below. Fools, do you have any idea what you're up against? I will crush you all. A system notification suddenly sounded. The Muspelheim spear is fully charged. He tightened his grip on the spear, determined to defeat the tyrant. In an instant, he slammed his foot on the ground and launched himself upwards. He soared over the chaotic battle between Nash and the monsters below. He pulled the spear back, preparing for a powerful strike. And then, the spear hurtled towards Loki, who still wore an expression of disdain. And yet, Jun Jiayang's ferocious attack was easily blocked by Loki. He smirked, contempt in his eyes. Loki's body radiated a dark aura as he spoke. I've been watching you this whole time. With just your bare fists and that ready stance, you, the one who possesses the most abundant mana. In this place, Loki unleashed a powerful punch, roaring. The dark energy exploded around him. The attack was lightning fast, so powerful that Jun Jiaeyong was completely cornered. A look of worry flashed across his eyes. I can't dodge this punch. Suddenly, Jun Jiaeyong noticed something. That AI's move, it's exactly the same as his. A surge of energy was rushing towards them with terrifying speed. The two attacks collided, creating an earth-shattering explosion. Loki froze, thinking to himself, He neutralized my ultimate release? His gaze sharpened on the figure, his voice icy. Who are you? Sachi materialized from the dissipating smoke, like a phantom. He gasped for breath, sweat pouring off him, exhaustion etched on his face. Sachi froze for a moment. Jun Jiaeyong's eyes widened in recognition. Sachi. He trembled uncontrollably, his body racked with shivers. I tasked you with handling the giants. His knees buckled, and he collapsed to the ground. Stream witnessed the scene, his voice a roar of fury. Sachi. Loki's eyes narrowed, a sinister expression spreading across his face. He sneered, pathetic weakling, begging for help from a human. Once this battle is over, I will mold you into a true warrior. Jun Jiaeyong roared in anger. Fenrir lunged at Loki, forcing him to stumble back. Fenrir moved with blinding speed, surrounding Loki, a blur of motion too fast to follow. Loki's voice was filled with rage. You're weaker than before. His attack erupted like a bomb, creating a devastating explosion. The earth crumbled, and a thick cloud of dust filled the air. Fenrir was thrown back, his body crashing heavily to the ground. Suddenly, the blue system interface flashed a notification. You have 5 minutes remaining to complete your assigned task. A red message alert appeared, providing a situation update. The will of the celestial realm demands the extermination of this disgraceful sinner. Witnessing the scene, Inchong exclaimed worriedly, He's truly a bloodthirsty savage. What are we going to do? He replied, Try to hold him back for 1 minute. With a look of intense anxiety, the girl accepted the difficult task. Hold back that demon for 1 minute. The monster had taken down Feria with a single blow. At the same time, Stream, filled with rage, charged straight towards Loki. Loki and Stream clashed, a fierce battle erupting. Watching the scene unfold, June felt like he was on pins and needles. Stream alone might not be enough. I need you, Dong and Kang. Whether Kang heard his plea or not, June could only think of one thing. He needed her. As if infused with a surge of power, the girl let out a small hum. All right, I'll give it my all for 1 hour. A resounding leap echoed through the space. Jun Jiaeyong gripped his spear tightly, his eyes sharp. A warning alarm suddenly blared. The Muspelheim spear is reaching maximum magic absorption capacity. His body erupted with a blazing aura. His eyes shone with determination, but deep down he thought, this isn't enough. I need to be stronger. Loki was now battered and exhausted. The system warned again, exceeding permissible limits. Suddenly, a swift attack severed the opponent's armored arm. Loki reacted in time, quickly blocking the fatal blow heading straight for him. He immediately counterattacked, deflecting the attack towards the incoming entrant. A catastrophic explosion erupted, turning the landscape into a wasteland. The system announcement rang out again. The Muspelheim spear has been upgraded, reaching extreme temperatures. June gripped the spear tightly. An earth-shattering magical energy suddenly erupted, but still wasn't enough. A fierce determination blazed in his eyes. A little more, just a little bit more. I have to finish them all with a single blow. The system suddenly turned gray. The Muspel spear had reached the limit of the flames it could contain. Muspel began to crack, cracks appearing all over its shaft. This is it. June charged forward with unwavering resolve, his hand tightly gripping the divine spear. He poured all his strength into it, hurling the spear towards Loki. The spear tore through the air like an arrow loose from a bow, piercing a high-rise building. Then it soared high, ripping through the thick smoke, revealing a clear blue sky. The system suddenly announced, "Mission accomplished." Loki froze, motionless like a statue. The system turned bright red. The apocalypse descended, engulfing Loki, his body covered in wounds. His eyes widened in disbelief, unable to comprehend what was happening. The system appeared, praising his spectacular performance. The first rays of sunlight peeked through, piercing the darkness. Ruby, Wonha, and the others below looked up, murmuring in astonishment. This was unbelievable. It was sunlight, something that seemed to have vanished from China. Yet here it was amidst the freezing ice age. Suddenly, the system announced. Congratulations! You have achieved the Sunrise Bringer title. The sky turned incredibly clear. Brilliant sunlight bathed the world. The system continued to display new notifications. Your fire compatibility has significantly increased. You have received a special reward for completing the mission exceptionally. Your stats are continuously updating and rapidly increasing. You are currently recovering your vitality. Peace returned to the city. Under that miraculous sunlight, the tyrant Loki had fallen, his castle engulfed in flames, reduced to ashes. Loki's body burned fiercely, leaving behind only bleached bones, indistinguishable in form, and then vanishing completely without a trace. Finally, the bloody purge came to an end. The giants, bestowed with immense power by the king, had been utterly annihilated by the Shattered. But to say they were killed will be less accurate than to say they were granted release. The 4 leaders of the Shattered gathered at the ruins of the old castle. They were Sachi, Stream, Zubi, and lastly, Zhong Hyan. The war seemed to be over, but the truth was far from settled. Fim stepped forward, looked directly into Zubi's eyes, and said, "I will keep my promise." Hearing this, Zubi gave a satisfied smile. Fim glanced at Sachi, his eyes filled with unspoken thoughts. He turned and said calmly, "Kill me." With that, Stream knelt before Fim, confessing his sins. No matter the reason, these sinful hands of a traitor like me have been stained with the blood of our comrades. My revenge is over. But then he lifted his head, his voice deepening. "I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive Nash, who has served me loyally for so long." Sachi remained stoic, silent, and offered no reply. He summoned a battle axe, gripping it tightly in his hand. Magical energy radiated from Sachi, enveloping the surroundings. He nodded, "Very well." A faint ray of sunlight broke through the sky. The snow fell thicker, blanketing the mountain peak in white. Sachi and Jun Jiang stood on the upper floor of the fortress, silently observing the scene. Jun Jiang suddenly spoke. "Do you not despise me?" Sachi glanced at Jun Jiang. He turned, offering a smile of approval. "Of course not. In fact, I am indebted to you. Thanks to you, I was able to make a wise decision. You are as courageous as any of our warriors." Jun Jiang felt a burden lift from his shoulders, a sense of relief and peace washing over him. Snow continued to blanket the fortress. Gang Bai carried a large log, walking amidst the admiring gazes of those around him. Huan Yu was shouting loudly, directing everyone. Jun Jiang and Toby stood above, looking down. He spoke up. "The reconstruction is proceeding very smoothly." The elder replied with satisfaction, "It's all thanks to your efforts." Jiangyi turned, sincerely asking, "Do you need any further assistance?" Sobi's expression turned serious. "We've done all we can, but typically, people can't reside long-term in a wasteland, can't survive in such deprived conditions, and so he made a proposal. We are considering leaving this stronghold. Could you help us with that?" Jiangyi pleaded. "I am willing to comply." "Of course I can, but I'm afraid that's not the best solution, because many significant events are about to unfold." Robbie asked, bewildered, "What do you mean?" He gently reminded them. "I believe leaving the stronghold is unnecessary. In fact, I think it's a wrong decision. I urge everyone to strive to settle here, because the entire world is about to become a wide-open gateway." Robbie sighed, a look of concern on his face. "Oh, I understand, but the food situation in this bone-chilling cold." Zhang Hui put down the turnip and spoke up. "This is Poramora, a peculiar creature. We can use it as a food source. Although it doesn't taste very appealing, Poramora can grow in any environment." June pointed to a pile of Poramora scattered on the ground. "You can feed them the bones of the slain monsters. That way, we won't have to worry about starvation." Ruby was surprised, a puzzled look on her face. "How do you know all of this?" Yun smiled slightly. "I think I can solve the cold problem too." Zoe cheered. "That's wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll definitely repay you later." Tents were erected firmly, snow blanketing the landscape. Stream appeared suddenly, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "Interesting human. I've finally found you. Is the new leader of the giant clan doing a good job?" Jungi, the small man beside Stream, replied. "If you're really curious, you should go meet him yourself. He seems a bit anxious. I wonder if he'd welcome a visit from an enemy?" He smiled faintly and asked, "Perhaps you consider yourself his enemy? But didn't you just say you weren't an enemy?" Stream recalled his conversation with Sachi and explained, Someone who murders their own kind is not fit to be a leader. One who ruthlessly harms their own people cannot lead. That's why I refused Sachi's offer to become leader of Sachi, and I decided to lead the Nasods. As for those frost giants, violent and bloodthirsty, they can only thrive when they have enemies to conquer. He continued, because those monsters are nothing more than easy prey for us, the only ones capable of becoming our adversaries. Phim looked directly at Junying with a serious expression. Are you humans? Junying was startled by the declaration and asked, is that why you're so wary of us? Because neither side would gain anything if we became enemies. Phim immediately replied, precisely. It's our way of showing respect to your kind. Humans once helped us. Junying responded, I understand. Actually, I came here to learn from you. He smiled gently. If that is Lot Loki's wish, I will grant it. After all, you are the savior of our entire giant race. Junying asked, who is Lot Loki? Stream explained, in the ancient language of the giants. That means you're the one who defeated Loki. The red system announced. Revelation appeared in the sky. He thought to himself, deep down, there is always a peculiar reaction whenever the name Loki was uttered. Then he spoke. I want to learn the extreme release technique. Phim stroked his chin thoughtfully. I can teach you, but I can't guarantee if it's possible. He recalled the moment he performed extreme release and analyzed. Extreme release is a technique that pushes the hidden potential and the power of dormant magic power within the body to its absolute limit. But it requires an immense amount of magic power without the physique of a giant, who naturally possess an abundant source of magic power, commensurate with our massive size. No one can master this technique. A surge of crimson magic power fiercely erupted, radiating outwards. His gaze seemed to hold back, to restrain something. Sachi startled, turning around in confusion, thinking to herself, what is this terrifying amount of mana? What's happened? Could it be Li Yungyuan? Inchang also sensed the energy, smiling faintly and pondering. He really makes me wonder, is he even human anymore? Junjiang emanated an overwhelming aura, so powerful it enveloped a vast area. His eyes blazed with determination and resolve. I can confidently say that I possess more mana than you. He smirked. Excellent. Junjiang stood alone on the precarious cliff, gazing at the magnificent castle under the snowy sky. A look of tension flickered across his face. Loki suddenly remembered the frost giants and the treacherous Loki. He laughed sinisterly, his eyes full of cunning. He continued, his voice dripping with contempt. That foolish king dares to use his own people as test subjects, to create an army. That despicable coward. He transformed the mighty giants into mindless, raging killing machines, devoid of all reason, using the profound inner strength of hunters from China. A look of suspicion flashed across Jun's eyes. How could that villain control the giants, making them obey his every command, and fall completely under his control like that? According to Suturum and Sachi, this king was a courageous and skilled warrior, but he didn't possess the ability to do such a thing. Jun glanced around cautiously. If that's the case, there must be someone else behind this, supporting him. Jun recalled when he went to question the villagers about the intruders who broke into the giant stronghold. They all said that they left without causing any trouble. He thought to himself, I keep thinking if there's an outsider who would appear at a time like this, it would be Guo Wang. But if it wasn't him then? He looked up at the night sky and wondered. A mysterious shadow flickered in and out of sight, emitting an eerie, mystical black smoke. He began to suspect. Could it be the work of that black-clad leader? That man made Li Junji feel uneasy and confused. What kind of monster is he? What is he planning? The entire mountain range was blanketed in white snow. Snow fell softly, blanketing the sky. A sudden voice broke the silence. Junji, your grandfather is looking for you. Junji glanced over to see Inchang approaching with a bright, cheerful expression. She invited him. There's a festival. Let's go together. He paused in thought. Junji didn't seem very enthusiastic. A festival? But without letting Junji hesitate further, Inchang grabbed his wrist and pulled him along. Junji was still dazed. Before he could collect himself, she urged, come on. Everyone's eagerly waiting. The atmosphere here is so lively and bustling. People are gathered together, chatting excitedly, laughter echoing endlessly. Looking at this peaceful yet vibrant scene, everyone feels a sense of awe. This is what life's all about. Life's full of hardships, but that's just how it is, a young man says, while chewing on a delicious piece of meat. Let's be grateful that we're still alive. Intrang observes the surroundings, then exclaims in admiration. What a wonderful sight. A festival being held right where the assimilation gate once stood. Jun Jiang nods in agreement. Indeed, it fills me with hope. An interesting idea suddenly pops into Jaruk's head. Should we contribute to the final part of the festival? She looks confused upon hearing this. He slowly walks towards her. Jun Jiang stands on a tall platform, a striking figure amidst the crowd, drawing all eyes towards him. They whispered amongst themselves that he was Lot Loki, the hero who defeated the king of the giants. Lot Loki? That's an unfamiliar name. I've never heard of him before. But apparently, that's the honorary name the giants used to refer to him. They cheered and chanted, filled with excitement. What will Loki show us? Loki, a blazing source of energy, moved gracefully through the air. The flow of mana was focused and amplified, it constantly multiplying, spreading, and enveloping Jun Jiayang's body. The amount of mana was more abundant and intense than ever before. With him at the center, the energy erupted violently. His eyes flashed with a brilliant crimson light. Giambi and Roby were stunned, utterly amazed by the majestic spectacle. Trang smiled, quietly waiting for the next act. The warm sunlight gradually dispersed, the thick fog shining down on houses. The film lavishly praised Lot Loki. He truly is extraordinary, outstanding. The others gasped in astonishment, unable to believe their eyes. No, it can't be. Hey, a sun has appeared. The sky is crystal clear, without a single cloud, and gentle sunlight bathes everything. Jun Jiayong calmly raises his hand, controlling the flow of mana. System notification, mana, is being concentrated, forming a mana core that exhibits excellent performance. Under the influence of the dragon's heart stone, a tiny dragon heart is gradually forming. A moment later, the hustle and bustle of the festival subsided. The city returned to its usual tranquility. Two figures stood on the city walls, talking quietly. Roby spoke first. Are you leaving now, Jun Jiayong? He confirmed. That's right. Jun Jiayong smiled, recounting what he had just done. I infused thermal energy into the metal structures outside the settlement. From here, you can clearly see the metal structures in the distance giving off heat. I applied the mana injection method that I learned from observing Park Jae-hyun. Thanks to the power of the legendary Merlin's necklace, I was able to wield ancient magic, creating a protective shield to prevent heat from escaping. As long as the structure remains intact, the heat source will be preserved indefinitely. Sobi's expression turned serious as he anxiously asked, do you really have to go? I need to repay this debt of gratitude. Jun Ji urgently pleaded, but you promised us we would see each other again. He lightly jumped down, landing softly on the ground, for people were waiting below. In-chong teasingly said, the hero who lifted the sun has returned. He felt a little embarrassed. She laughed, remembering the scene. Are you joking? No, I'm serious. When we came out, you really did lift the sun. Jun Ji scratched his head, a confused look on his face. He hadn't expected his image in their eyes to be so grand. In-chong changed the subject. But, are we really leaving? He understood her concern. So he reassured her, don't worry. I've arranged for Yuriam to stay here. He silently admired her kindness. She truly had a compassionate heart. He turned and called for Little Peony. A flash of blue mana erupted, then vanished. The small boy transformed into a massive gray wolf. Its sleek fur shimmered with an ethereal glow. Jun Jiayong glanced back, offering a quiet farewell. I'm off. I hope next time we meet, we'll have more interesting things to share. Roby anticipated their next encounter. May we meet again by chance. The scene shifted to a desolate, mountainous region. Heavy snow fell, blanketing everything in white. The natural landscape was shrouded in a thick fog. Time passed quietly. Nightfall approached, bringing with it a biting cold. Jun's group decided to rest after a long and arduous journey. Only he and In-chong sat opposite each other by the crackling fire, seeking warmth in the cold winter night. Everyone had fallen into a deep sleep at some point. The young woman softly shared her thoughts. This trip was a bit chaotic, but it wasn't so bad. Contrary to her optimism, the young man sighed wearily. If traveling around is going to be this exhausting, I don't want to experience it again. The young woman exclaimed, then suddenly turned her attention to the person beside her. It's been a while since I've heard you joke. You enjoyed this trip too, didn't you, Gongyu? Gong Yu raised both fists in the air, excitedly responding. Jun Jiang's expression suddenly turned serious. How is Dong Yinchang's training coming along? He paused in thought. As we discussed before, inner ki is very difficult to master. In Kang reported that he's managed to grasp a bit of it, grasping inner ki and the flow of mana. He urgently pressed her. You need to be faster. His serious expression served as a warning. We're running out of time. Jun Jiang fell silent. I feel a warmth radiating from my chest, as if the dragon heart is resonating and transferring energy to my own heart. Even as we speak, the flow of mana is continuously increasing and growing stronger. Not just me, but it seems everyone is becoming more powerful. This signals a massive shift is about to occur. I feel a fog clouding my mind, mixed with a touch of anxiety about these unpredictable developments and the uncertain future ahead. Even the monsters are becoming fiercer and stronger. The whole world seems to be undergoing an intense transformation. The mana saturation phenomenon in China was just a prelude. Suddenly, In Chong looks up, her gaze fixed on the distance. She gasps, calling out Li Junjiang's name in astonishment. Her voice snaps him out of his thoughts. She trembles, pointing ahead, stammering, that. They both jump to their feet, Li Junjiang's eyes widening in horror. The highest peak in the distance is blazing brightly in the silent night, thick black smoke billowing upwards. The sight is both striking and terrifying. They stand frozen, watching. In Chong says in a shaky voice, a ferocious fire engulfs Mount Baekdu. The village is immersed in a sea of flames, thick black smoke billowing, obscuring everything. Intense heat radiates outward, dispelling the usual bitter cold. Outside, countless monsters swarm, one after another. Approaching this location, the horde of mindless, seemingly unfazed by the inferno's heat, aggressively charge forward. Piercing screams herald the imminent eruption of a terrifying battle. Villagers flee in panicked chaos, their cries echoing everywhere. Gunshouts, pointing the way. This way. Everyone, follow me. Two figures stand their ground, protecting the villagers' retreat. A mindless monster, wielding a sharp sword, fiercely gives chase. Gun with lightning speed pierces its body. Simultaneously, he roars, "Get back!" His companion, in perfect sync, cleaves another mindless monster in two with a single sword strike. Blood splatters everywhere. They retreat, maintaining a defensive stance. Bull anxiously asks, has everyone evacuated? Gun speculates, uncertainty in his voice. I think so. He breathes a sigh of relief. Good. If only we could get down the mountain now. Before he could finish, a colossal foot slammed into the ground, sending powerful tremors through the area. The earth-shattering sound echoed through the air. Both startled, they turned their eyes towards the source of the noise. A massive figure, the hulking form of a giant, materialized before them. Veins bulged across his body, his eyes burning with feral intensity, a current of magical energy swirling around him. They quickly gripped their weapons, assuming defensive stances. He yelled in terror, "Damn it! What the hell is that giant monster doing here?" Boaer trembled as well. I sensed a terrifying magical power emanating from him. His face was pale with fear.